Hello, everyone. This is a much bigger audience for a Thursday afternoon than I imagined. I think that's a testament to how great the panelists are, obviously. So my name is Ram. I have the easiest job of being moderator today to a panel of wonderful folks, most of whom don't need much introduction, but we'll still go through the formality of introducing everyone. But before we begin though, Shweta, who's based in London, works for Booking. Was the one who originally conceived the panel and submitted it and got us through. However, she couldn't make it, so, but I think we're not compromising in terms of people here, but I just want to begin with thank you, Shweta, for helping put all of this together, and let's get started. So first up, we have Whitney. Whitney, everybody knows you. So, but I've listened to Whitney talk a lot. I've been in the room when she's spoken, in smaller rooms and bigger venues. I've had the opportunity to discuss things with her off camera, off stage, things like that. She brings a lot of cheer. I always imagine she lives in a fairyland where unicorns shit rainbows, stuff like that. But Whitney, why don't you quickly introduce yourself?
How did you know about the fairyland? I try to keep it a secret.
So there's a picture. You can't see it, but there's... okay. But,
My name is Whitney. I'm a senior technical advocate at Datadog. It's nice to meet everyone. Thanks for being here.
Up next, Daniel. So I know Daniel back from his InfoQ days, and much like a lot of other engineers, I've submitted articles with scathing reviews and editorial comments and things like that. And I always imagine Daniel to be like this old English judge from the 18th century who's always looking at things and being very specific about what he wants. So Daniel, why don't you introduce yourself?
Thank you, Ram. Fantastic introduction. So hello everyone, my name's Daniel Bryant. I run product marketing at Syntasso, but my career spans from Java developer 20 years ago through to architect, through to platform engineer. So I like to think I bring the software engineering into the platform engineering world. Looking forward to a good discussion today.
Up next, we have Kunal. Kunal was on brand when he was the last to arrive. I think of Kunal as the Richie Rich of India. He runs the community around Cast AI right now. Kunal, why don't you introduce yourself?
Oh, shit. No. Yeah, hi, I'm Kunal. I work as a senior developer advocate for Cast AI, leading their EMEA region. And good to be here, very excited.
Thanks. Finally, we have Aditya. I think Aditya is the last engineer left who's not made it to DevRel yet. So he's a real practitioner and the odd duck among all of us DevRel folks on stage right now. Aditya runs the CNCF Jaipur community. That's how I know him. This is the real CNCF Jaipur community. That's what they do. Aditya, do you want to introduce yourself?
Thanks, introduction, Ram. So, I'm Aditya Soni. I currently work at Forrester as one of the SRE. Apart from that, I'm CNCF ambassador and leading CNCF Jaipur. Thanks.
Cool. So the first theme we'll start off with is about small teams and smaller organizations. Now, we all know how a lot of things work for the bigger organizations with massive budgets and the big teams. And when it comes to small teams, one of the things I noticed was somebody once upon a time wrote that internal developer platforms and entire platform engineering was not necessarily for small teams. And that was you, Kunal. So you can't deny it. It's on the screen.
Oh no!
I'll let you start off.
This is a roast.
Yes. What was going on, and can you substantiate that a little more?
Yeah. What I meant to say was I've seen people just, in the name of platform engineering, they put it as a one-off product and just put a lot of tools in, rather than think of it like an internal product inside your company that you are basically selling to your developers and you iterate over time. So just for the sake of platform engineering, I've seen people just spin up really complex platforms and dashboards, and then they don't see the ROI firsthand. So I feel like what I was trying to say is, if you're going to do it, have a minimum viable platform first, and then you scale out from there. Yeah. Where did you find that?
When you were all in the aquarium partying, so I had things to do. So no guesses for whom I'm going to bring up next. But Whitney, you also had a light board where you sketched out like big teams and things like that. And is that your impression too, that these don't necessarily apply to smaller orgs and smaller teams? Because you seem to give the impression when you describe platforms.
Well, I would say,
Gotcha.
I would say, don't build things you don't need, regardless of that, and that holds true regardless of what size your organization is. So, yeah, that's what I have to say to that. Take that, Ram.
No, that is a good answer. But what is the answer though for the smaller orgs? Do they just wait to accumulate technical debt, fix it later, or is there a path?
Is that ever a good idea?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Yeah.
Cool. So moving on though, the next one is similar, where somebody once wrote that, I don't know if it's easy to read, but like platforms, are for customized internal stuff, things like that. This one was an article from Paula Kennedy, and Daniel, I know this was not written by you, but I know Paula's your boss, and so you have the tougher job of defending that. But what's so is there a theme here? So multiplayer games, large teams, that's who platforms are for. Can you weigh in, please?
Yeah, so just to perhaps take a step back, I definitely think if you're looking for product market fit, you're a startup, things like Heroku can get you really far. Basic kind of platforms as a service. I used it a whole bunch when I was doing Ruby on Rails back in the day. Not affiliated with Heroku, but I just think it was a really good product. But the kind of organizations we interact with at Syntasso, our customers, are big banks, healthcare, highly regulated folks. And therefore, they always want something that's customized to their business needs. So I think that's the key difference, is in when you get started, looking for product market fit, thinnest viable platform we've mentioned, keep it simple. Like you said, when you never build technical debt unless you know you're going to pay it back, right? So keep it simple. But then if you are a regulated environment, if you are working with like hundreds, probably thousands of engineers, it definitely is a different mindset. Platform as a product, we've already mentioned, switch into that and be conscious that it is going to be quite a journey and you need to collaborate very much internally. Got to get InfoSec, DevSecOps, whatever you call the folks, security folks, got to get them involved super early. I learned that lesson the hard way, building some platforms, and you really got to get buy-in throughout the organization. But that's only worth doing if you've got a big org, big challenges. Otherwise, keep it simple. If you can buy a small platform when you're small, that works great.
And that's the theme that we saw in the keynote as well today. So if it's common to you, just buy it. If not, then build it. But moving on, I'd like to tackle another theme that is sort of affiliated to all this, which is cognitive overload. And all of you have mentioned many things in your various appearances in the internet. But I have one specific one that I'm going to bring up. And this is from one of your presentations, Aditya, where you say it's a crack in the foundation. And that's really what leads you to requiring platforms and things like that. So you want to elaborate on what you meant there?
Yep. So I'm not sure where you picked it, but this one I was maybe elaborating something around, let's say, if as already like Whitney and Kunal already discussed, like the small teams don't need it. So even though if you are capable to do all of those things by your small team and you don't need a self-service at all, then why to need the platform? So even though you will break the things for you, because later on the whole platform that you have built, it might break sometimes, and instead of focusing on the main customer, where's the production working and all of this stuff, so you're more focused on the IDP, and that's not should be the goal.
And so what are these, can you give a specific example as a DevOps person? What are examples of some of these cognitive overload things that you see that can be avoided?
So like, are you talking about maybe perspective of the main workload or mean the platform IDPs?
Stuff that you have to do to get a workload running that the IDP offloads for you?
Okay, so like it's all about, I would say, like maybe to manage your own workload internally with all of the teams that you might get a lot of requests. So as a DevOps or SRE, we do build platform for our internal teams. So it's like if we are getting a lot of similar kind of requests a lot of time. So we just focus on something. Maybe if we have a Qt dashboard that they can just request something, so it can save our time at last. Okay, so that's what our focus is. But if we are not focusing on that particular goal and we are focusing on mainly towards like maybe offloading the load and a lot of stuff, then it's like maybe waste of time.
Got it. Do you want to weigh in on that, Daniel?
Yeah, I mean, I can do something I talked about in my presentation last night, actually. So it was 5:30, it's quite late, just for the parties. I don't know if everyone was there. But I talked about the model I use comes from like a bunch of folks saying there are 3 layers of building platforms. There's the kind of app UX layer where developers are interacting with the API, the portal of the platform, core platform itself where you're building the API and the lifecycle, and then the infrastructure layer at the bottom that makes the platform kind of real. And I thought my experience where the cognitive load kind of really leaked out is where I, as a developer in my kind of lane up here, had to go into the other layers of the architecture. Someone gave me a Terraform template, and I was like, what? Kind of thing. And now actually, I love Terraform. Like, I love learning, so I was happy to learn Terraform. Then I had to learn Crossplane, then I had to learn Bash. And again, I just love learning, so I'm cool with that. But the developers I was consulting to at the time were like, I want to stay in my lane. I want to write TypeScript, deliver business value. Why are you making me learn Terraform? Why are you pushing me down these layers of the platform? And I was like, your cognitive load just went up massively. You're having to learn, like, even just how platforms infrastructure works is really hard, right?
That and the developers have their own KPIs they need to deliver. And so they don't want to mess around with internal.
Like I wanted Redis and I wanted it yesterday. Yeah. I don't want to deal with YAML.
Yeah.
Interesting perspectives. But speaking on that same line and tone and investigating a little more, there is a thing about being open versus being opinionated when it comes to platforms. And Whitney, I'm going to have to start with you. So I saw you give a lightning talk a few KubeCons ago. I don't have track which one, but in that you specifically mention capabilities are built as services that are self-serve. People who are experts decide what capabilities and developers sort of consume them. But does that sort of go against the grain of developers? How do developers explore in that environment? How do they find more things to do? How do they?
There are 2 important points about that. So one is the experts help decide what the capabilities should be, and the platform engineers provide the interface. But because the developer should still have a chance to have some sort of customization. Like you have a database and we're going to give you, I don't know, you may only see small, medium, and large reason, but we're going to give you 3 sizes that you can choose from. It's not like an infinite thing. So there is choice within the capability. That's number 1. The second important point there is it's optional to use it. You want a database. The platform offers this kind of database. If you have a different idea of what you want, you don't have to use the platforms. You can go figure it out and accept all the cognitive load and manage your own database. You don't have to use a platform.
Right. And so what, in your opinion, is the path for, hey, I went to KubeCon, I learned about this new messaging service that will solve a few problems. And how do I get that to become a part of something I can consume as a service?
So this is from a developer perspective?
Yes.
How does a developer engage a platform team?
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I imagine you just contact your platform team and you say, hey, this looks cool. But, I was going to say, that does give, as platform engineers, that gives you an opportunity to, like, we have a developer who's interested in it gives you, when you have communication with your developers and then they're engaged and they're invested in making the platform good, like that's a problem that people are trying to overcome. So that's a gift that you can use to make your platform better. So I'd say, like, harness that enthusiasm, work with them to make a feature, and then they're going to naturally evangelize that feature and that for you.
Kunal, you wanted to add something?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. If there's too much customization, then it's not the platform anymore. It's not a standardized platform anymore. But you do have to find the balance. I don't know, maybe 80%. It's the platform what the team is offering. But coming to the point of how do you get that tool? I've seen a rise of product managers managing platforms at various companies. So how many of you have used platform engineering, have internal platforms?
Yeah.
Okay. Either this or no hands. What's this?
It's fine. Some
like-
of them are sitting next to their managers. And
They have kind of a little bit of a platform. Yeah.
That's the open versus opinionated debate I'm talking. People can, do what they want. But anyhow, you, Kunal, also quoted a DevOps versus platform engineering in one of your talks. And I think this sort of builds on that. So we've had DevOps as a person for a long time. And then that was basically the idea that you own everything that you need for creating certain artifacts and maintaining them, etc. And so does that conflict with the notions of having a platform engineering team that separately does a few things versus the DevOps owning the end-to-end pipeline? What's your thoughts on that?
I think I don't see it as DevOps versus platform engineering. I think platform.
Definitely saw it last year, but okay.
Yeah, that's my hot. I don't think it's like a DevOps versus platform engineering thing. Someone may say different things, but that's okay. I think it's just elevating what DevOps was, meant to do. I don't see it as conflicting. I just think it's like an addition on
So
top.
in terms of ranking it on, here's how you consume an opinionated platform, and here are freedoms for you to bring in new tools. Do you want to elaborate on that? Like the two distinctions between developers bringing in new tools versus just consuming what platform teams give them?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, and which is why it's not just about tools, I would say. It's about the culture, And if the first thing is getting the buy-in from the developer, from the platform teams. Do the developers even want to use it? There's obviously metrics and stuff that you can use to determine whether it's being valuable or not. But I think that's the question for the platform team when they first start out as well. Like, how do you get that developer buy-in? I would say involve developers from the very early beginning. I think that's a good start. But that's what I wanted to say, that it's not just about tools, it's about the culture as well.
Also, I wanted to add here, maybe when we say about platform versus DevOps, so it's not maybe you can say it's versus. So it's, I would say DevOps is the one who are becoming the platform engineers now. So we are the ones who maybe get all of the pain points from the developers, and then accordingly we have to decide what's best for them. So instead of they are choosing the tools, we have to find out okay, so this is what they want, and that's how it can be built. And that's how we have to think about that.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that this is such an amoebic profession that there's no one way to describe. And Daniel, I'm going to get you to weigh in on this based on something you wrote not long ago. Is this just old wine in new bottle?
As everyone said here, I definitely think there's a lot of good things to take from DevOps. I sort of grew up, DevOps was becoming a thing, fast feedback, continuous improvement, what's not to like. Gene Kim and crew, IT Revolution Press, Nicole Forsgren, all done amazing work in that space. For me, the biggest shift when I transitioned from DevOps to platform engineering was thinking about platform as a product, which we've all mentioned. When I was a DevOps engineer, I was more consultative. I was like, here's how you use Terraform best, and I'd go in and teach and things like that. Whereas as I moved to more of a platform engineering mindset, I was thinking about offering my things as a service. So here's a database as a service. Here's CI/CD as a service. What I have seen in a few companies, and I'll shout out Kat Morris, my awesome colleague at Syntasso, a product manager that is technically savvy and business savvy too, honestly worth their weight in gold. Kat is an ex-thought worker as well. She's got a background of consulting, right? So she's really good at going in and bridging the gaps, asking customers what they want. Because the challenge is, as developers, we're tricky customers sometimes. To your point, Kunal, people are literally I want a Redis and I want it tomorrow. It's do you want Redis? So do you actually want key value store? And when you say key value store, what's the SLA you want? And you kind of poke and prod. And often higher level primitives are even better to what folks want. But that is a product management skill. So I was chatting to some folks last night, and they were saying, like, how do I find these product managers? And I think growing them internally, if you're a staff engineer, for example, you are business aware already, and you've got the tech chops, that can be a career path to go, right? But I see a lot of value as we get more AI on the platform as well. AI is just another way to interact with the platform. Still got to be a good product, right? And I think like that, I'm really like, I've been lucky enough to work with Kat, lucky enough to work with some other folks in the past, but I know many engineers I work with have never seen that in action. They don't even know it's possible, you know?
I went to Platform Coffee this morning, and so Platform Coffee, it's a platforms working group. If you in CNCF Slack, you can find other practitioners and talk with them. And so during KubeCon, we get together in person, and at Platform Coffee, they were talking about how useful it's been at different organizations to have someone on the platform team take a turn on, like as a developer, do 6 months on and vice versa, 6 developers be on the platform engineering team and get that cross-pollination and get real empathy for other teams to help. I mean, the product manager absolutely too, but some of that direct empathy and understanding what the other side is experiencing is also very valuable in this case.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic insight. Thanks for bringing that up. And I think the last thing I wanted to quote was Aditya from an article that you wrote where you just used all of these terms interchangeably, and I think you weighed in a little bit earlier about what you thought about this, but I'll let you have another go.
So maybe can you read it for me?
So it says,
what's it about?
It's not important what it says, but for any developer who's building applications or cloud/DevOps/SRE engineer. So, I mean, it seems everybody.
By the way, we are not role playing. This is legit.
Yeah.
This is the first time I'm meeting Ram here at the stage.
Yes.
And Aditya.
Okay, so even though I'm not able to read it.
You're using all of these terms interchangeably. So is it all kind of the same thing in your head, just titles are different, or?
So how I see it, it's same for me, because if you see maybe for a SRE guy, you are maybe more focused on observing the things or observability kind of stuff. But even though if you are maybe translated to a platform or maybe you are planning to, then that should be observable, because it's not something you have built an IDP and that should go break in the midnight, and then all of the developers are again complaining, okay, this is the self-service, this has to be self-service, and why it's breaking, I have requested this stuff and it is still not been deployed, so how to go with that? So that's how it is. So I would say it's not about maybe how we can differentiate all of these rules, but it's more about how these all can work together to build a great platform.
Nice. Okay, I'll make things slightly simpler, but more controversial, I guess. But Whitney, this is you, and there's a tiny word that you're writing in the corner of the screen that's hidden by your name, and that gives me an idea of how much of a priority that is in the whole context of platform engineering, and that word is security. For some reason, this community just doesn't seem to, put that as a priority and things like that. So just your thoughts on where security plays a role and why is it always sort of, at the back?
I think the word security is just so loaded. There's so many points in Kubernetes where you consider security. You're thinking about admission policies, you're thinking about how do you store your secrets, and how you're thinking about runtime security, you're thinking about, there's so many, you're talking about your container images, there's so many places where security is a problem. When I talk about security, I put it small in the corner because it's just a Pandora's box. The second I open it, there's so many issues to consider. So I'm just as platform engineers, it's your job to make sure it's secure for your, and just kind of sweep it under the rug. But that's why.
That's on brand. Daniel, so this is from a talk that you gave last year. You outlined a lot of goals for platform engineers, blah, blah, blah. No security on there either. So
That was the next slide, Ram.
yeah, no, I saw the whole talk. But whatever. But just weigh in on where security? I know you mentioned like bringing security on early on, DevSecOps and things like that. Care to elaborate a little bit?
Yeah, so definitely harking back to the kind of multiplayer mode, platform democracy we talk about, like security, particularly big enterprises where I'm working now or working with now, like it's a whole department. It has its own culture. It's tempting to think of it as a department of no sometimes, right? But I do think it's because those folks have not been given the opportunity to get involved early enough to actually have a discussion rather than just say no. So that was genuinely a lesson I learned when I was consulting about 10 years ago now, doing a lot of platform rescues back in the UK, but going as a consultant, understanding why platforms are not working and debugging them. And yeah, there's a whole bunch of things I could talk about in that, but definitely security were not involved often enough, early enough. And I learned mistakes I made personally as well. I learned to, when I go into the place, and they say, oh, our platform's on fire, we're not sure. And I'm like, can I chat to your security folks? And that used to tell me a lot. If they would go like, we don't have idea where they are. Like, then I'd be like, uh-oh. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes they go, oh, we don't like them, the Department of No. But actually bringing them, making sure they feel like a stakeholder. Because like, it's got, like, to Whitney's point, it's a Pandora's box, but it's one, unfortunately, that is literally cross-cutting across the entire kind of 3 layers I talked about, right? And the kind of, again, organizations we work with at Syntasso, healthcare, FSI, all that kind of stuff, gaming, like, it's highly regulated. The auditors want to come in. They want to see all those things. Like, you have to make it easy for them to consume that the platform is secure. So it's a team sport, this platform engineering, and the team includes security. Whatever you label you choose, InfoSec, DevSecOps, security, like, you've got to get those folks involved.
No, I mean, especially now with AI as well, because how many?
Said the word.
Yeah. How many of you are using AI at your company? And how many of your companies have an AI policy?
Yeah, I was hoping to get through without using that word during the whole panel. Stuff. Anyhow, I think big saving grace when I was researching about this panel, having spoken about security, was Aditya during one of his talks put security and embedding security early on there on one of his slides. So thank you for doing that. The last thing I wanted to close very quickly, closing thoughts / big challenges that you think people are facing when adopting platforms and getting platforms in. Kunal, we'll start with you and see how well you match to a slide you had last year.
I can't see that.
Yeah, good.
Biggest challenges?
Mm-hmm.
From the platform teams, getting the early buy-in from developers, because it's moved towards the cultural shift rather than just being technical. People want to see that ROI, So that's why I involved getting developers involved very early on when you're building platforms and explaining to them like what the ROI is. Other than that, like other metrics, like the lead time for your deployments, how much time the devs are spending in asking questions and other things like that. The second point I would say is keeping the platform too complex right at the beginning. So like just involving every single tool and not treating it like as a product, but as a one-off thing. So your developers who are using your platform in your company should be treated like your customers. If that makes sense. So you're selling to them essentially, and you're getting their feedback and you're evaluating your platform and you're optimizing it over time. So it's not like a one-off thing. And then start with like the smaller tools. I mean, the landscape in CNCF is, it's like a double-edged sword. So it's complex. It offers you a lot of options. Don't see that as a bad thing, because the teams that do really well with the landscape and all the plethora of tools in it they focus on like subsections. So think of a dictionary, for example. You want to look at now we can just look it up on our phone. But when I was 8, and I had a physical dictionary and I wanted to take a definition of a word, I would be like, okay, I want to see what plethora means. So I'll go to P and I'll narrow it down. So I think that's what you can do with the landscape. You can narrow it down.
And it's not about choosing the best thing. It's just choosing a good thing. Yeah.
So that's but yeah.
I think that's a good segue to Whitney. Challenges that you're seeing.
One big challenge is, how do you show the business value of what you're doing? Like so if you could measure it, the closer you can get it into dollars. I always picture the people funding platforms or just like the higher level people at any organization with like dollar signs for eyeballs. am I meant to also say possible solutions? That you didn't say that part. So that's the challenge. Now, possible solutions. So building observability into your platform is going to be able to help with that. And specifically, I'm going to just state a big problem again without an answer, but specifically if you can get your developers by providing an observability feature where they get dashboards when they instrument their code at the development level, that's going to unlock you being able to say, hey, we rolled out this platform capability, and then immediately we saw that our checkout service was 5 seconds shorter than it was before. Like, we can make that direct connection between those two things.
Daniel?
Whitney stole mine. Perfect, Whitney. Is in ROI for business. The biggest thing I'm seeing in my day job, the way I like to frame it is speed, safety, efficiency, and scalability. If you want to know more, come and chat to me afterwards. I can show you my presentation from yesterday. I've got a little report I can give you as well. But yeah, folks, we all recognize the value here, but the further up the org goes, 100% Whitney, the dollar eyeballs. I get it. Like, they're good people, just incentivized differently. So being able to map the actual business impact of what you're doing as a platform engineer, if you can get that right, magic can happen.
Nice. Aditya?
Yep. So I wanted to add here, like, it's all started with DevX, I would say. So maybe making developer experience more good. But later on, like when they have different requirements and they are coming with some new perspectives, so then it becomes difficult. Like maybe you have to rewrite or maybe think of how you started before. And later on, if you maybe scale this to maybe integrating some AI, security, and more, then you might be seeing a lot of cost that's maybe there, and it's haunt.
Nice, but that's all we had time for today. Thank you so much for being such a patient audience.